and more recently, a curling fanatic. Really? All right, that's awesome. He's here tonight to share some of his curling passion. Ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Reed.
Good curling. That's what you say before and after every match of curling. It's a very cordial sport. And we'll get started here. So to begin with, I'm not a Canadian, but I love curling. I wanted to talk a little bit about curling because every time I do talk about curling, I'm always surprised by how many people have either never heard of it or think of it as that silly game in the Olympics that you never realize you can actually go play. And to be clear, we're talking about the sport with stones on ice, not curling your hair or curling weights. Anyway, so about a year ago, I picked this up and a couple friends. We saw the Metro Parksway magazine. They had an advertisement, come down to Riverscape and learn how to curl. And so I grabbed a few buddies and we went down there and, right on the river, nice river, cold winter breeze. It's outside in Riverscape, so on the ice. During the summer they put festivals and bands and stuff under that pavilion. And in the winter, they put in the ice rink. And then figure skaters all over it all during the day. But on Tuesday nights in January, the curlers roll the ice. There's a picture of stones. You're probably still thinking, curling in Dayton, really? But actually, it's getting to be a pretty big sport in Ohio. So we have Cincinnati Curling Club, Columbus Curling Club, Bowling Green, Cleveland. It's all part of the Great Lakes Curling Association. So really, you're surrounded by curlers, and you never knew it. And this point, you're probably wondering why is it Curl Troy? What's the deal with that? Well, the guys who started the club actually live in Troy, and they started it at Hobart Arena up there in Troy. I'll say Troy a few more times. So we float around a little bit wherever we can get ice because we don't have a dedicated facility. We're at Riverscape in the winter when it's cold out, and they got that rink up. This spring, we're heading up to Springfield. But again, for those of you not familiar with it, it surprises a lot of people, but curling did not originate in Canada. It's a Scottish sport. There's documents going back to late 1540. This picture is not from 1540, but it is really an old picture. And curling is old. That's what we're going for. Now you got to be up with the lingo for curling. So curling is played on a curling sheet. That's the whole lane there. The circular area is the scoring area. That's called the house. You want your stones in the house, and the closest to the button in the middle wins. The guy who throws first is the lead. The guy who throws last is a skip. He's kind of the captain of the team. And for a sense of scale, house to house is about 120 feet, or the length the Wright brothers first flew. I'm sure you're familiar with that. So when you throw a stone, you start at the hack on one side, and you throw it, and it's got to be past the hog line, that thick back line on the other. It's got to be past the hog line to be in play. And if you come up short, then you hogged it, and that's embarrassing. To play curling, you need a set of stones. You need some brooms. And you need some type of slider. So there's 4 people on each team. Each person throws 2 stones, 8 stones per team. You take turns alternating one team to the other team until you get all 16 down in the end. Now the curling physics. I'm an aerospace engineer. I can explain to you why a curveball curves. I know nothing about why a curling stone curls. It just does, and that allows you for strategy and kind of, girl around your opponents, all this stuff. It's really exciting. They pebble the ice. That's kind of important. Really, the sweeping is the important part. A lot of people always ask, does sweeping actually do anything? Those pebbles, the pebble on the ice, it reduces the friction, and when you sweep, it kind of melts the top of that pebble a little bit, and then the stone will go a little bit farther and curl less, and so you can steer the stone to exactly where you want it to go with the sweeping, more or less sweeping. So sweeping does do stuff. It's not just looking cool. So here's us a year ago at Riverscape. I'm up there on the right. My buddy Matt, we work together. He's down in the middle. He's our skip. Brian, he's sitting back over there. He didn't want to talk. And Eric is actually down in Riverscape right now teaching some curling. So over about 5 weeks last winter, we really got hooked, even though it was single digits. And we started House 18 Curling as our team. And, we're a bunch of nerds and engineers. A couple of us work at base, so the alien theme just kind of fit in there, and it was kind of amusing. So after a whole 5 weeks of experience, we decided to go try out a tournament. And so we go up to Columbus. They have this big tournament. They call it the Slider Spiel because they serve you sliders at midnight after the games. They got this nice, like, professional facility you get to play in. Our first match we played against this team, they had collective experience of over 40 years, and they literally cleaned the floor with us. The scoreboard did not go high enough to record the score. But they were good sports, and we learned a lot, and we flummoxed them by telling them we had actually never played indoors before. So again, we play outdoors and we float around, so that requires some assembly. Before every league, we have to go to that place and literally build the curling sheet and move a ton of granite around with us. So it becomes a chore a little bit, but it's kind of worth it to be involved in the club. So we played in a few more leagues, then we go and try another tournament. This one was up in Kalamazoo. This one was great because they paired it with a craft beer festival. Curlers love food and curlers love beer, and so when you went on the ice curling, you were over at the beer festival drinking beer, and by the third game, you didn't care what happened. We did win our first game. My wife loves this story. My buddy Matt and I, we were at a work conference last week in Baltimore, and we didn't want to sit around the hotel, so of course we called up the local curling rink, said, hey, can we come play? And they're like, sure. They'd never had people visit them from Ohio to curl with them before. They're all about it, and we had a good time. We brought one of our coworkers there and taught him how to play too. There's some more pictures of some happy curlers, so some Riverscape. That's up in Kalamazoo, Michigan. That fun one down there is this club in Toronto. They actually do this black light glow spiel. It's really cool. So yeah, curlers are just a big friendly bunch. There's a lot of camaraderie. A big part of that camaraderie is kind of built into the rules. It's actually written down in the rules of etiquette for curling. You begin with a handshake, you end with a handshake, and winners by the first round. It's the rules. You can't argue with it. Yeah, so it's just a big happy community. You're always happy to meet each other. You go share a drink, share some curling, good curling. So I hope I kind of shared some passion of curling. It's a growing sport in Ohio. The hockey rinks are not just, or the ice rinks are not just for hockey players anymore. And if you're interested in trying curling sometime, come talk to me because it's really a lot of fun. Thank you.